Some landscaping decisions look perfectly fine when you make them. The problem is what they become 5 or 10 years later. A small tree becomes a massive shade problem. A fast-growing hedge takes over the yard. A narrow flower bed becomes impossible to plant well. Welcome back to Garden Guru. Today, I'm ranking 7 yard decisions homeowners often regret later. Not because they always look bad at first, but because they become more expensive, more difficult, and more frustrating over time. Let's get into it. Number 7. Making planting beds too narrow. Narrow planting beds are appealing for a simple reason. They are easy to install. You remove a small strip of lawn, add a row of plants, spread some mulch, and the project feels finished. The problem is that a bed designed around young plants rarely has enough room for mature ones. As shrubs widen and perennials fill out, everything gets pushed together. Plants begin leaning over the lawn, blocking the walkway, or growing into one another. And because the bed is so shallow, it cannot support much visual depth. There is room for a row of plants, but not enough room for real layering. You cannot easily place taller structure toward the back, medium plants through the middle, and lower plants along the front. Everything ends up sitting on roughly the same line. That is one reason narrow beds often feel flat or crowded, even when the individual plants are attractive. The smarter move is to design the bed around the mature depth of the planting, not the size of the nursery pots. In many yards, widening a bed by even 2 or 3 feet gives you far more flexibility. You gain room for layering, better spacing, softer curves, and plants that can mature without constantly spilling into the lawn or walkway. A slightly larger bed may seem like more work today, but it often creates far less work later. Number 6. Choosing a hedge you have to fight forever. A formal hedge can look clean, structured, and impressive. But before planting one, ask yourself an important question. Do I like the hedge, or do I like the way it looks immediately after someone trims it? Because those are not always the same thing. Many hedge plants naturally want to grow much taller and wider than the shape homeowners are trying to maintain. That means the landscape only looks right when the plants are repeatedly cut back into submission. Miss a few trimming cycles, and the hedge quickly becomes uneven, oversized, or top-heavy. Over time, frequent shearing can also create dense outer growth with bare, woody interiors. Then, when the hedge eventually needs to be reduced, cutting it back may reveal large brown sections that do not recover quickly. None of this means hedges are a bad choice. The problem is choosing a plant whose natural growth habit is completely different from the size and shape you expect it to maintain. Before planting a hedge, look at its mature height and width without regular pruning. Then, decide whether you are comfortable maintaining it at your preferred size for years. A hedge that naturally grows close to the size you need will be easier to maintain, healthier, and more forgiving. The best low-maintenance hedge is not the one that tolerates endless trimming. It is the one that does not require endless trimming in the first place. Number 5. Choosing privacy plants only because they grow fast. When a yard feels exposed, speed becomes extremely tempting. You want privacy now, so the fastest growing plant seems like the obvious solution. And for the first few years, it may feel like a great decision. The plants fill in quickly, the unwanted view disappears, the yard finally feels enclosed. Then they keep growing. The screen becomes taller than you need, wider than the space can support, and far denser than expected. Branches push into fences. Plants crowd patios and walkways. Lower growth begins thinning because the upper canopy blocks the light. What started as a privacy solution becomes a permanent pruning project. This is especially common when a row of large plants is squeezed into a narrow strip along a fence or property line. There may be enough room when they are young, but mature plants do not care how wide the planting strip is. They continue growing toward the house, the neighbor, the walkway, or anything else nearby. When choosing privacy plants, Do not ask only, how quickly will these grow? Also ask, how tall do I actually need the screen to be? How much width is available? Will the plants still fit here when mature? And what will happen if I stop pruning them for a year? Fast growth solves the immediate problem. Appropriate mature size solves the long-term one. Hey there, 10-second break to tell you there's a link in the video description for a free guide I made for you. It's called 5-Yard Design Moves That Fix Almost Any Outdoor Space. If that sounds enticing, be sure to download it. I think you'll love it. Now, back to the video. Number 4. Planting too close to the house. Plants often look strangely small when they first go into the ground. That makes it easy to place them close to the foundation, so the bed feels full immediately. But those small shrubs are not finished plants. They are the starting point. As they mature, branches begin pressing against siding, covering windows, blocking vents, crowding steps, and swallowing architectural details. The front of the house starts looking heavy instead of framed. And then the pruning begins. Every year, the homeowner cuts the plants back to keep them away from the building. The plants respond by producing more dense growth, which creates even more maintenance. Planting too close can also reduce airflow and make it harder to inspect, clean, paint, or repair the exterior of the house. The right spacing depends on the plant, but the basic principle is simple. Measure from the center of the plant and account for its mature width. A shrub expected to grow 6 feet wide generally needs about 3 feet of clearance from its center to the wall, and sometimes more if you want airspace or access behind it. That can look too empty on installation day, but temporary openness is usually better than years of corrective pruning. You can use smaller perennials, ground covers, or annuals to fill early gaps while the structural plants mature. The goal is not to make the bed look completely full in year 1. The goal is to make sure it still works in year 10. Number 3. Choosing growth speed over mature size. This problem extends far beyond privacy hedges. It happens with ornamental trees, shade trees, flowering shrubs, vines, and foundation plants. Homeowners often compare plants based on how quickly they will produce an effect. Which tree will provide shade fastest? Which vine will cover the fence fastest? Which shrub will fill the empty corner fastest? But growth speed only tells you how quickly the plant reaches the problem. It does not tell you whether it belongs in that location. A fast-growing shade tree planted in a modest yard may quickly become too large for the house, patio, or neighboring property. A vigorous vine may cover a fence beautifully, then continue onto gutters, roofs, trees, and anything else it can reach. A large shrub may fill an empty corner in 2 years, then spend the next 15 years being cut back. The best plant is not necessarily the one that fills the space fastest. It is the one whose mature height, width, form, root behavior, and maintenance needs match the location. A useful rule is, growth speed affects the first few years. Mature size affects nearly every year after that. When choosing plants, picture the full-grown plant in the space, not the pot, not the 5-gallon shrub, not the slender young tree tied to a stake. Picture the mature canopy, mature roots, mature width, and the shadow it will cast. That is the plant you are really buying. Number 2. Installing permanent hardscape before testing the yard. Hardscape can be one of the most expensive parts of a landscape. It can also be one of the hardest things to move once you discover it is in the wrong place. A patio may look perfect on a plan, but plans do not always reveal how the yard actually feels throughout the day. You may discover that the patio sits in intense afternoon sun, catches too much wind, has no privacy, or is disconnected from the part of the yard people naturally want to use. The same thing happens with walkways. A carefully designed path may look beautiful, but if it does not follow the route people naturally take, they will create a shortcut through the lawn. Fire pits, outdoor kitchens, retaining walls, built-in seating, and permanent raised beds can all create the same problem. Once installed, they begin controlling how the yard can be used. That is why it is often worth testing a layout before building it permanently. Mark the future patio with stakes, landscape paint, a garden hose, or inexpensive temporary furniture. Live with it for a few weeks. Use it in the morning. Use it in the afternoon. Walk the route repeatedly. Watch where the shade moves and where people naturally gather. You may discover that the patio needs to shift 6 feet. The path needs a gentler curve. The seating should face a different direction. Or, the area you assumed would become the main gathering space is not where anyone actually wants to sit. Temporary testing may feel slower, but moving a chair is free. Moving a concrete patio is not. Number 1. Planting a tree for today instead of 20 years from now. Trees create some of the best long-term value in a landscape. They provide shade, structure, habitat, seasonal interest, and a sense of permanence. But because they become so large and live so long, a poorly placed tree can also create the biggest long-term regret. A young tree can make almost any location seem reasonable. It has a narrow trunk, small root system, and light canopy. Then, the real tree begins to appear. The canopy spreads over the roof. The roots reach toward paving and utilities. The shade changes what can grow beneath it. Branches interfere with windows, gutters, driveways, or neighboring property. A tree that once balanced the yard may eventually dominate it. And, unlike a shrub, correcting the problem may involve major pruning, expensive removal, or living with consequences that cannot easily be reversed. Before planting a tree, think beyond the mature height listed on the tag. Consider its mature canopy width. How close will that canopy come to the house? Where will it cast shade in 10 or 20 years? Will it shade a vegetable garden, solar panels, or a sunny patio? Will falling fruit, leaves, seeds, or branches become a problem over a driveway, deck, pool, or walkway? What kind of root system does it develop, and how close is it to paving, retaining walls, septic systems, or underground utilities? Also consider scale. A tree can technically fit within a yard and still feel far too large for the space. The best tree is not the largest one you can squeeze in. It is the one that will mature into the right scale for the home, the property, and the way the yard needs to function. A well-placed tree gets better every year. A poorly placed one becomes harder to ignore every year. That is why this decision takes the number 1 spot. Quick test before you plant or build. Before making a permanent landscape decision, ask yourself 3 questions. What will this look like at its mature size? What maintenance will it require every year? And how difficult or expensive will it be to change later? If you only like the decision when the plants are young, freshly trimmed, or carefully controlled, it may not be the right long-term choice. And if you cannot picture how the yard will actually be used, test the idea before making it permanent. Well, there you have it. Some landscaping choices look harmless at first, but become far more difficult, expensive, and frustrating as the yard matures. Be sure to grab that free guide from the link in my comments. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep getting your hands dirty. I'd appreciate it if you could like this video, subscribe to Garden Guru, and I'll see you in the next one.